Hello and welcome to the Sports Cars podcast. This week we will be having a look at football with the return of the EFL, looking at the 100 cricket, a little bit of boxing and some rugby leading into the World Cup. Another week. How you doing?
I'm good, are you?
Very well, thank you.
Another rainy British summer week.
It's been awful. This week was the return of the football season, not the Premiership, everything below. Have you caught anything from the weekend?
Little bits and bobs.
There's been a few sort of standout games. It started on Friday night, which Southampton came from behind to beat Sheffield Wednesday, which is always nice seeing Wednesdays get beat. Working around a lot of Wednesdays fans over my time, and yeah, it's always nice. But there's been a few sort of standout games. Watford beat QPR 4-0. Barnsley, probably the biggest game of the weekend. They've had a lot of their own fans on Twitter kicking off that they've sold a striker, they needed strikers, they've not brought anyone, but they beat Port Vale 7-0, so they're not short of goals.
No.
Probably another impressive one is Wigan winning away at Derby 2-1. You probably don't sort of know too much about this, but Wigan are in financial despair. A lot of players' contracts have been null void because they haven't been paid.
Yeah.
A lot of players have just walked from the club. A lot of staff have gone. They sold the captain at the end of the week to Wrexham. So they've basically got, half a squad and things like that. And they turned Derby over, who were probably favourites for the league. And then into League Two, where there was sort of quite a few. League Two's set up quite good this year because you've got Notts County, Wrexham and Stockport, who last year, obviously Wrexham and Notts County went up, the year before Stockport went up, but all them three teams have got the financial backing that they probably should get out of that league.
Yeah.
Notts County got smashed by Sutton United 5-1. Stockport lost to Gillingham at home, and Wrexham lost 5-3 to MK Dons, which MK Dons is a tough game, there's no doubt about it, but first game back in the Football League for for Wrexham at the racecourse, and they conceded 5, and then local team Doncaster in the Yorkshire Derby lost 1-0 to Harrogate over a very, very dubious penalty, which I can see probably why it was given, but realistically it wasn't a penalty. And then they had two very good penalty shouts turned down themselves. Yeah. Mm. My team Blackburn beating West Brom 2-1 at home, quite a good result. We scored, and literally they kicked off, passed back to their defender. He went to make a pass. We intercepted it, passed it, scored. There was only 9 seconds of game time between each goals.
Oh, amazing.
So we sort of quick double blow for them. Transfers, United have signed Højlund from Atalanta. I think total of 72 million for a 20-year-old. Quite a big... they're expecting big things from him. He's sort of 6'1", 6'2", blonde hair, a little bit like Haaland. He's that Northern European.
Yeah.
I think it's Icelandic, but I think he's Danish, I think.
Some of the values that they're paying for players, like I've grown up where they're offering like the record signing for like Bale was like 80 million or something like that. It just, and we're at a point where we're paying 72 million pound for a 20-year-old, and obviously the Kylian Mbappe thing. I know that was driven by Saudis, but there are some ridiculous numbers flying around.
I think when I was a wee one, and obviously our Blackburn fan, Alan Shearer was, the greatest player at the time. And I think we sold him for a record amount, and it was like 15 million.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I think Man United that brought in, I believe it was someone like Yap Stam or something for like 40 million that broke the record, and then Rio for 50 million, And then you just see every year you see clubs make multiple signings for. Don't get me wrong, people like Brighton do it very coy, where they bring a player in for 5 to 10 million, and sell them for 70. But a lot of your top six, top seven teams are buying multiple players at 70 million.
Yeah. Quick little pop quiz. Do you know who the first £1 million football player was?
Trevor Francis, who
Well
sadly passed
done.
last week.
Yes, he did.
Got to get me up early in the morning.
69 years old, first football player to command £1 million
I
as a transfer
believe
fee.
it was Brian Clough that signed him for Forest.
You know more than me.
Man
yes,
City.
it was Birmingham City to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Correct.
I know my stuff.
I will get you one day.
Man City signed Gvardiol from Leipzig. That is a signing I'm very excited to see in the Premier League, because I think he is an absolute fantastic defender. And I think that's probably one of the missing pieces that City have lacked in years gone by. And then Harry Kane is still at Tottenham.
We've said that for 3 weeks now, three podcasts in a row.
I think they had a friendly today, and he sort of clapped round the crowd, so I think he knows he's going. I think it's looking like he's going to go to Bayern Munich. Yeah, he's chasing trophies, which is nice, because we've seen the people that's gone to Saudi Arabia and he's not chasing that, so it's nice to see that he's chasing trophies.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's going to get money anyway, so yeah, it's nice.
Moving on to the cricket. So the 100 series returns, or returned, should I say, on the 1st of August. It hasn't been a superb week of action, so obviously the women's and the men's are played at the same time. More of the women's games have been played than the men's. I think the women's have played around 2 o'clock, men's have started kind of 6 o'clock in the evening. But we've had a lot of rain around this week. Have you caught any of the 100s?
I've seen bits, I've not seen a lot. I think from ones I have seen, it's been rain affected, shorter games and things.
Yeah.
It's been on, but I've not been fortunate enough to watch full matches yet.
Yeah. The stand-ins obviously aren't super reflective at the moment. It's only been the first week and we haven't really seen, like I say, a lot of action. We have got double header matches pretty much every day next week, bar Thursday. But as it stands, the Northern Superchargers and the Trent Rockets tied on 3 points at the top, and the Welsh Fire on 2 points. But like I say, there's a couple of games that have been either postponed or abandoned halfway through.
Where they just get a point each.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So hopefully the weather brightens up and we're able to see some cricket.
I did see midweek Alex Hales retired. He's only 34 from international cricket. He hit a 170. I can't think if it was. I think it was against India or Australia in a Test match. He hit an unbeaten 170. But his last international game was the T20 World Cup last November, which he won. So his last international game, he raised the World Cup, which is sort of a nice way to bow out.
To end it.
Yeah, you see sports people often retire when they've just won a title. James Hunt did it in '78 in the Formula One. Nico Rosberg did it. Was 2016 when he won and then retired. 2016, 2017,
Possibly.
He won the world and retired. So
2016.
2016, yeah. So you see it fairly often. A little bit of boxing. I know you was probably looking forward to the Joshua Dillian White fight,
Yes, yeah.
which unfortunately has been called off. Dillian White obviously refuses to acknowledge that he's taken drugs, which I think at that level you would.
But they were really reluctant to come out and say anything more than unknown substance or something.
An adverse test.
It was an adverse result, which
You do see. I mean, they are allowed levels of these.
they're not banned substance, but they are banned.
The high levels,
Yeah.
which is what makes them a bit iffy.
Yeah, but certain eating certain food groups a lot. Can obviously affect your hormones and testosterones and these kind of things in your body. And obviously, these guys are on extremely strict diets and tablets and supplements. And if it has exceeded, then it has exceeded. Would that mean that they'd have to rearrange, or it would be called off, or they'd have to do another test in a few months' time, see if there's levels of
It depends, because Conor Benn had this issue with Eubank in one of their fights, and he's just been cleared. So he actually got banned, but he's now been cleared.
Yeah.
Because it kind of, they argued it, and it's things like they take one thing that increases performance here, and they take something else that will counteract a side effect. But when you mix the two together, it heightens another hormone, and that's the kind of thing that it does. So we're talking very. I know Canelo Alvarez has returned a few tests high in clenbuterol, which is a gutting steroid, and his defence was that it's a very, farmers use it in their cows to produce a better cut of meat. So they basically feed the cow the steroids. You get these massive jack cows, cut them up, beautiful steak.
And he's eaten
all these steaks.
Steak for breakfast, lunch, and tea.
Yes, yeah. So, but if he was to come and tell me that, I would believe him.
You're not calling him a liar, are you?
No. There was a boxing match last night that wasn't really a boxing match, but it was a high profile. It was Jake Paul.
Yes.
Against Nate Diaz, who's obviously massive mixed martial artist, big in the UFC. Jake Paul did win on points. Some of it, I don't know, I thought Nate Diaz actually having a fighting record. He's not just a nobody. He's beaten Conor McGregor.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a bomb by any stretch of the imagination, but
with him not being a boxer, he can knee somebody out, but can he actually punch somebody's lights out?
He can throw. So I'm surprised, because he took it to Conor McGregor pretty well in their fights. So I was surprised that that it was maybe not comfortable, but it was unanimous. All three judges gave it his way. But I did see there was a punch where Jake Paul floored Nate Diaz, and naturally he sort of stumbled and then sort of fell off the edge of the ring, but didn't quite go out, and maybe that affected him more than he thought. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of these. I know
YouTube boxing. Was it the Dan's label?
I don't know who had it. I'll be honest.
But even so, high-profile YouTube boxing. It's not.
It's really, not. No, yeah. I know. Well, what is nice is Tommy Fury's fighting KSI.
Yes.
And the British Board of Boxing Control has refused to sanction it.
Yeah.
So if Tommy Fury wins, I think he's about 7-0 on his record. If he wins, he's not going to officially be 8-0.
No.
They're not going to sanction it as a legal fight.
Tommy Fury, he's got the ability, and I think he's got the record certainly so far to be able to fight bigger fighters. If he could step away from these glory, like they're not glory fights, but like these silly fights, he could make a name for himself. But arguably, he's doing pretty well himself.
Well, this is the thing, and this is the argument. So he fought one of the Paul brothers before, and the rumour was he took $2 million for that fight.
Yeah.
Now, Dillian White, when he fought Fury last time out, got $3 million. Tommy Fury is not going to be fighting at the level of that, so he would probably get $100,000 if he was to fight. If he was to fight at his level in the boxing world, he would probably get $100,000.
Yeah. Like
Dave Allen's got a fight coming up soon, and Dave Allen's a local lad to here. I've seen him fight a few times. Always caught him on telly. He probably gets between 50 and 100,000 each fight. He's not going to be. He's not a millionaire by any stretch of the imagination, but he's pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like the Saudi thing. If a bit of a nobody's offering you $2 million to fight that you're probably going to win, i.e., go to Saudi and play a league that's well below what you need to do, you're probably going to take it from time to time.
And the thing is with KSI as well, it doesn't matter whether he wins, loses, or draws. He wins anyway. KSI seems to win at everything that he's done in life so far. And the real winner is prime.
Just yeah,
Did you see when he won the match the other day? He had the big prime,
no, so that.
like Diamante or Diamond, I don't know, prime in great big letters across his chest. Yeah, it was huge. But no, it'll be enjoyable to watch, but I wouldn't.
There's not going to be loads of skill and athleticism, and I'd rather have seen Joshua White.
Yeah,
Callum Smith's fight at the end of August has been called off with his opponent needing surgery from an illness. So a bit good about that, because I always like watching the Smiths fight. But obviously we've got Liam Smith versus Eubank Jr., so
Yeah.
we are still going to get that.
just a quick question with the Joshua fight: will it still run the undercard or not?
Well, they're on about bringing in somebody for him still. You know, he's a week out, because the fight was next week. He's a week out of
Yeah.
camp. So the argument is they're on about bringing somebody in, and Anthony Ruiz has come out and said, I'm available, I'll fight, we'll make the trilogy. And the problem that carries is Ruiz should never have won that world title against Joshua. Joshua played with him and got found out. But I could see Joshua taking that fight, thinking Ruiz is a bit of a joker, and actually losing again.
Yeah.
I
The
could
thing is,
see it.
as well, he's been training to fight at one man, sorry, and then all of a sudden he's training to fight another guy. It's like obviously he's studied, or his team have studied how White fights. And don't get me wrong, Ruiz, they've fought before, but I don't think he would be in the right headspace to be fighting a completely different boxer with such a short period of time to prep. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. That's obviously only happened in the last 24 hours, so we don't know. This weekend also was the first big weekend of the summer series leading into the World Cup for rugby, which saw my beloved Wales take on England in a friendly.
Friendly, very friendly.
And to be fair, it was probably played out a little bit like a friendly, and I was more surprised, because the one thing you don't get between those two teams is a friendly.
Yeah.
And I was a bit worried that they were going to put out strong teams, get someone. I mean, Lee Halfpenny made his 100th appearance for Wales, and someone like him getting injured, and then they had George North on, and these sort of two players would be pivotal for us going to the World Cup. And I could just see us getting those two injured.
Yeah, and then they'd be out for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Bray each other. There's no.
Yeah, we've done it before. Lee Halfpenny did it a couple of years ago. The last World Cup, got injured leading into it, did his ACL. England and Wales put out both quite good back lines. But the forwards were a few sort of first caps and things like that. But after England quickly took the lead, it did see Wales run out winners 29, so I was quite pleased by the end of that. No one stood out. It wasn't anyone in particular. There was one moment that would have probably been the try of the year, which the Reece Summit just chipped over someone and touched it down, and they went to the TMO, and the TMO said, yeah, you can award the try. But the referee were adamant he didn't want to give a try, and he were like, no, can you go back on your decision and review it? I want to look at this, this and this, and they ended up not giving it. So,
Yeah.
Which, yes, his hand did touch the ball, come away and go back, but his other hand sort of didn't. So, if it was an England player that did it, I'd have said no try. Because of the Welsh guy.
I thought it was a try, man.
Definite try. Scotland, France. Scotland actually had 14 men that got a man sent off, but came back to beat France 25-21. France, top team. Not really sure if you can read into that too much, but Scotland looking pretty good. And then Ireland beating Italy 33-17. Pretty standard. I didn't watch the game, but from all reports, it was a pretty lacklustre Ireland performance. This evening also was England women in the Netball World Cup final. Now, they obviously won the Commonwealth a few years ago, so they are a pretty top team. But unfortunately, they played Australia, who they did beat in the group game, but Australia won 61-45, which in netball terms is quite a drumming. You don't normally win by 20 sort of points. It's normally a little bit closer. One thing we haven't touched on either is Arsenal winning the Charity Shield this evening against Man City.
Man City.
Have you seen the goals?
I've not. I watched the first 8 minutes and then I had to go, so I haven't seen anything. Not necessarily the goals. No, the one thing I did see was, I think it was the first yellow card, maybe a little bit after 8 minutes. I don't know. The first yellow card of the game was given for unsportsmanlike behaviour, and I was listening to the commentators talk, and I've done a little bit of looking this up, and the Federation of Referees for the Premier League have come together and they've agreed that they want to put a stop, or they want to stamp out, especially in the early stage of the Premier League this season, unsportsmanlike behaviour, time wasted, nicking yardages, that kind of thing.
Well, they're doing a different thing with the clocks this year, and they're a thing announced at midweek. So if you ever go to a game, they always have a scoreboard in a corner. But when it gets to 90 minutes, it stops at 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Doesn't go 92, 93. But they've now made it where they have to. And what they're doing is like today in the Charity Shield, we saw it a little bit in the World Cup just before Christmas, where there was like 9 minutes of added on time and things. And in the game today, there was 8 minutes added on time, but they played to like 102 minutes.
Yeah.
Because of time wasting. There was an injury as well, but I think that they're trying to stop. I mean, I saw a thing midweek, and it was how much of the Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, of like game time. So 90 minutes in the Premier League, it was like 56 minutes.
50, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like that. It's because of all the celebrations. I mean, obviously celebrations for goals, kicking it out, and then walking to get the ball, walking back to get the ball. Yeah,
just walking.
There should be. I think you either go down the route of what rugby do. You play till the time, and then that's it. You don't play after
They
that.
stop the clock at rugby as well. If it's
But yeah, exactly.
Teams are taking the piss,
but that gives the fourth official. It's quite a subjective. Is it where the ball is out of play and therefore the clock does not continue, or the fourth official's opinion?
That 90 minutes. I mean, you look at an American football match that's 60 minutes, but it can take 3 hours because of the stop starting. And I think you're going to get the same there. I think it should be when, if it's anything over like 15 seconds, they stop the clock.
Yeah.
Because you get players that just, especially in cup games late on, the player will go over to set the throw in, he'll put it down, and another different player will walk over to set the throw in. And you've wasted 45.
The kings of it are obviously Argentina in the World Cup.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. Playing mind games to an unbelievable level, but
that's effectively what they want to try and stamp out.
Yeah. That's us done for this week. Join us next week with the return of the Premier League. Catch us on our socials at SportscastPod UK. I've been Jordan.
I've been Liam.
Thank you for listening.